Good morning, welcome to the Alpha Female Lounge in Asake Online. My name is Pamela Mpofu and I am your host. Today on the program, we are going to be discussing women and media, how they influence the lives around them when they're in media, and as well as the challenges that women in media face. According to an article published by the United Nations Development Programme in 2021, it says that positive representation of women in the media enhances their resilience to hardships. We are going to try and delve into this notion a bit with my guest today. My guest is the founder of Arfluencer magazine, and this is none other than Nicolette Mdluli. Nicolette, welcome to the Alpha Female Lounge.
Thank you, Pam. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So we get straight into it. You said that your love for accessing information is the one that inspired you to start your own magazine. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Okay, so when I was growing up, we didn't have so much. I mean, it was just a TV, decoder, Tech, you know, so it was just SABC and ZBC. And I remember I used to buy my mom used to buy me a lot of magazines, and I used to buy a lot of magazines. So it was how I used to go around the world, because I would read stories from all over the world. I would read stories about celebrities, about food. I mean, foods that I couldn't even eat at the time, but I'd read about that. So I read about a lot of things from magazines. So they were inspiring to me, very eye-opening as well.
Okay, so growing up in Kulumanikas, what were some of the push factors for you when you looked around and you're like, no, I really have to start my own thing?
All right, I wouldn't say that growing up Ekasi, I was like, okay, I want to start my own magazine. It was more of something that came to me afterwards when I was growing up and I was, choosing a career path. But growing up, yes, there wasn't so much representation of what was happening in Africa. It was more of we were getting communication from the Western countries, There was never what is happening in Africa that was represented in magazines or on television. So it was more like the only celebrities we knew were the ones from Hollywood, never really about the ones that we have here at home. So growing up, I felt, why don't we tell the African story? I mean, there's a lot of stories from us, Ekasi. We are doing a lot of things. People are coming up with products which can be featured on these magazines. So that's how it came to me.
All right, so your goal is to shift the paradigm for African youth particularly. And how do you think media is capable of doing that right now?
All right, so you do know that the known narrative, maybe let's say 5 years before now, was that there isn't really much that is happening in Africa. People from all over the world would come to Africa only to be surprised, which, actually people are using phones, people have internet connection, because that is the narrative that was going around about us. So media comes in when we can instantly communicate, that, hey, I'm over here, I'm doing such and such a thing, or I'm over here, I'm making a film, I'm over here, I'm designing clothes, something that can actually compete in the markets like all around the world.
Okay, so starting your own magazine definitely wasn't easy, being a female, and also the financial part of it and some other challenges. Can you take us a bit through that from the moment you thought of starting it and to your first launch?
Okay. When we first launched, maybe let me start there. It was me and a group of other guys. Someone else was designing the website. Someone else was doing the design. I actually now work in the same building with a guy that started. So we didn't have money. It was a passion project. Right? So initially I had to go to work. I know I used to work for Dulux. I used to work for DHL, and I worked at the digital marketing agency. So all that played into me being able to come up with the product that I have now, in terms of maybe learning how to publish online or how to write articles online, because we also do that. So yeah, when it comes to financial challenges, really for me, I always think I like a challenge. I like a good challenge. So when I don't have money to do something, I'll think of what I can do to get money to finance this thing. I mean, trust me, even today, we still try and get money somewhere else to finance something else. That's how it is. Yeah.
Okay. And then for you, when you look at media, it has now grown like more, it's now popular, more like social media is like more popular. Hence the print world is like slowly being replaced by social media. How do you think the social media platform can be used to like promote and help young women to grow in this region?
All right. Well, to answer that, I'll focus on the two classes of clientele that we're serving. On the one hand, we've got people that consume the content that we produce. So you find that those people are present on social media. They want to see the action on social media. So we mostly rely on social media to cater for those people. Then we've got the corporates, the business people that are then going to come and advertise on the platform. Those people want the hard copy. So they want to see the magazine. I mean, if I come to you today and say, hey, please place an ad with us, the first thing you're going to ask me is, can I see the magazine? So for us, it's really a game of balance. We are actually considering going into print, and we will be going into mass printing pretty soon. So it's all a game of balance. Whereas the narrative is that printing is dead. We are going into print because we also have now this group of clientele that we have to serve that wants to see a physical copy. And the thing with magazines really is that they live longer when they're in print. You know, I'm sure you still have a couple of magazines that you bought some years ago, right? So we want to preserve the content that we create. And what better way to do that than to have it physically, you know, file it somewhere, place it somewhere, so that 10 years, 15 years down the line, we can show people that, hey, this is where we came from.
Okay. So over the years, we've seen a bit of violence against women in media, like media practitioners, and it sometimes hinders women from going into these spaces. How do you think we can create a safe work space for women where they're not bullied or violated?
All right. That's a very good question. It's a topic that is, you know, affects everyone in media. I particularly have not encountered that because for me, it's been more of create your own opportunities, right? Without putting yourself in a position where you're relying on other people to maybe open one door for you. I mean, make your own doors, set up your own table. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying women mustn't put themselves in a position where they are now taken advantage of, because that's where all this maybe say being violated starts at. Now there's also an issue of if you're employed in a media company and you're facing such a challenge, you have to know the right procedure. Who do I go to? Who do I tell? And I think as employers and organizations, we have to create a safe space in that someone doesn't feel shamed after maybe speaking out about something that is happening to them. So that actually maybe has to be put on people's contracts, you know, so that they are aware when they start work, okay, if something like this happens to me, who do I go to? And what's the procedure so that I'm not shamed? I feel like a lot of people are now shamed for speaking out. So we have to have like a proper procedure that is communicated to women, especially when they start work.
Okay. And then obviously social media is like popular and it's not really safe even for regular people who are just using media. It's no longer a safe space. What do you think is the best way to protect yourself as a woman online, because it feels like women are always on the firing line when it comes to these media stuff?
That's true. You know, when you say something like that, I look at what I can do myself, right? So whenever there's a situation like this, what can you do about it? What can I do myself about it? So the best thing you can do is to protect yourself. That means maybe keep a tab on what you post online. You know, even if it's a relationship, whatever it is, you know, protect yourself. You have to know when to draw the line, especially if you are in media as a woman. There's things like posting. Know what you post, you know what you say, because people have a tendency of twisting words. People have a tendency of saying something seems like something else that it's not, right? So the best way to protect yourself is to guard yourself, you know, guard the information that you share. I know people like to spend, maybe, you know, you get to know like what everyone is doing the entire day is there documented on social media. Try not to overshare. Right? I'm saying don't overshare as a woman, and also relationships as well, you know, like Try not to send nudes, right? Because someone will come and say someone stole my phone and posted those pictures. And also know the laws that are governing social media around us. I know now there's a law that was passed that if you maybe post people's nudes on social media, you get arrested and fined.
Yes.
So you have to know all those things so that if something like that happens to you, you know where to go and you know what to do. But the best thing you can do is to guard yourself at all costs.
Okay. I totally get you. Now we come back into the power that media has. Do you believe that in our country we have enough coverage, accurate coverage of women's issues in our media?
Okay, I'm not a fan of movements, right? Because your experience is different from my experience. And I'm not one to say because somebody said this, so that's the thing. I mean, I know I'm a woman and I'm very susceptible to probably abuse by the other gender, but I'm not one to say because somebody said this, then this happened. So maybe there's an over-representation, maybe. I'm not trying to discredit my movements, but there are issues that I feel like are being overly projected on media. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand.
You can't, when I say because there's a rape issue that is going on at that company, and then you carry that forward to whatever conversation you're going to be having. Yes, it's important for us to not and know that there's something like that is happening. But then to now drag other people around because here and there's something like this that's happening. I'm not a fan of that. I'm very objective, right? Because if somebody comes to me and reports something, I'm going to need facts. As opposed to saying, okay, now because there's a movement that's going on, we might as well just, get on the...
Yeah.
I like facts. I'm a very factual person, so yeah.
So you feel like there are issues, but they're just being overly done, overemphasized in the media.
Yes, the people that are affected, they need a platform to speak out, right? But then... if I'm not affected, yes, I'm going to support, and I don't condone rapists or people killing women, right? But you know how people are. Once you consume information, then you can't move around thinking, okay, somebody's going to kill me. People are like that. People are not mentally stable out there. People are facing mental challenges. If somebody is consuming that information constantly, do you get what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
I'm saying there are some conversations that maybe we don't need to do mass movements about. Yes, we need to address them, but we cannot do movements and then be dragging people in and out of, Yeah.
Yeah, so if it should be done, not to overemphasize it.
Now I'm going to be misquoted.
No, but we definitely understand
yes,
what you're saying.
Representation and speaking out and creating platforms where issues are discussed. I am all about that. What I don't, maybe I can't say don't appreciate, because, for the longest, women couldn't speak out. Yeah. But I'm saying now there is overemphasis. Maybe let me give a specific example. We are supporting the girl child more than the boy child.
Very true.
Do you know what we are creating? We are creating a future where women are too strong for the boys that we have, right? Where boys are afraid to approach the girls, right? I said I'm very factual, and I mean that why don't we balance the scales, right? Why don't we understand issues from the root causes, as opposed to just jumping on this wagon and jump on that wagon because it's a movement that is happening on the media, right? A lot of things go wrong when maybe information is over publicized than when issues are dealt with, yes, accordingly. Yeah. But, without us having which is hlambalaze izinto on social media. Yeah.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, this is the Alpha Female Lounge in Asaki Online, and today we are with Nicolette Mdluli, the founder of Affluencer Magazine, and we are talking about media. If you have missed, you can catch up with us on our social media pages. So now let's take it back to the marginalized areas, so Cholocho and the plum tree places, media is not as easily accessible as it is in town, be it print or, you know, by the time newspapers get to them, it's probably stale news. How do we make it easier accessible as individuals or as a group of young women in these other regions of the country?
Okay, what we've been working on is supporting people that are now doing these outreaches konangale emakhaya, in the areas where information is not easily accessible. I mean, unfortunately, at the moment, that's what is there. But there is more that could be done. I mean, we could set up radio stations or set up a bioscope that we used to go to Tinavdala, you know, Growth Point, so people can watch the news, so that people can know what's going on, right? Maybe another simplest solution would be to create offline apps which share e-news with people. A lot of people now have there's digital phones, so you can send news through those. I know ITEL does that with Phoenix. So whenever you get airtime, e-news is your filter in, and unfortunately it's always the worst news, but news is news, right?
News is news, definitely. Yeah. And then besides the accessibility of information, you find that the young women does not know how to really operate some of these offline applications. How do we bridge this gap? Because you can't just be creating content for people in urban areas only. We also need everyone to be able to access information.
The only way we can do that is to go there or bring them this side. And education, you know, once we go there and we educate them, hi, this is a phone, you can access this on this particular place, you can access this information on here. So education really is key. And I feel like at this time, you know, at this time in life, we shouldn't even be talking of marginalization. We should have already had a solution by now, because times have changed, you know. We all want to be on social media. I'm sure Cholocho wants to see what's going on around the world. So if we can educate them, bring them this side or go that side and share all this information, then the better.
Okay, like you're saying, Wuti, with where we are right now, world over, we're not supposed to be having certain parts of the country where they don't have access to certain things, right?
Exactly. It doesn't add up, does it?
Doesn't add up, but unfortunately it's a reality. And now, what are the disadvantages or what are the dangers of having a certain group of young women not being able to access information or to know, when I have a certain issue like this, I can talk to the world about it? What are the dangers of them not knowing the power they have?
All right. The biggest danger is that women then continue to be taken advantage of, right? You're in a place where okay, if this happens to me, right, you have no one to literally tell. That's why you find on the news now there will be kids about 12 and they're pregnant. You know, who's impregnating those people? Who's doing that to those children? They are being sent off to maybe early childhood marriages and things like that. It's because they don't have access to information. So information, it means they'll continue to be taken advantage of. But if you're a 12-year-old girl and you've seen an airport, you know, in your head you tell yourself, I want to get there. So, you know, distractions where you already have a picture, some sort of goal that you have. So if we don't give those people information, it means we're not exposing them to new ideas. They don't have anything to look up to. They will think, okay, what is going on now is probably their life. You know what I mean? So, yeah, information is necessary so that they don't get taken advantage of.
Okay. So, on the point of taken advantage of, I feel we've touched on the power that media has when it comes to women. But then also find that young women have a lot of access to the media and end up being exposed to different things. Now, how does one know some people just take whatever they can on social media. What do I filter out? What do I take and what do I leave out? That's
where now I was getting it when you asked, are there platforms where women's issues are being discussed? What I'm saying is, when content is over-consumed, you know, too much of a good thing becomes bad.
Very much.
You really want to guard yourself, filter. kumele uzenzele wena, right? Because this is being said to be happening doesn't mean that is your reality, lawe, you know.
Yes.
Right now you find people, maybe someone sparks a racist conversation about something, and then lawe, you're over here in Zimbabwe, this thing is happening in the UK, you're getting on that conversation, you spent maybe 2 hours of the day lawe uthethisa khona phana. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to guard yourself in terms of what you consume. So what I do personally is, when I'm scrolling down my Instagram, ngibone nje poste fan, yeah, uzibani bani seyenze solo, sethathele lo umuntu, so khambe so, I unfollow, right? Because it means the next thing, I'm seeing the same news.
Yeah.
I get conditioned. You get what I'm saying? It's a psychological process. Now it means that if we're giving abo mama information yokuthi amadoda are taking advantage of you guys, konke lapha esikhamba khona will be assuming, oh, men are busy taking advantage of us. But that's not the case, right? Because then there's a good men out there, there's good people out there. So it's up to you to decide the type of content that you want to do, and you actually can do that with young abantwana besakhula. Filter their content as a parent, filter their content, or yourself filter your own content. Know what you want to achieve. I know it's not about achievement, but know the kind of content that you want to consume. Not all content is meant to be consumed, right? It's like I heard some people talking about umuntu wabulawayo on TikTok. What does that say about us, you know, in the type of things we watch? Because to me, that is right? It means ukuthi now I have to be looking over my shoulder because there's a killer on the loose. You get what I'm saying? But really filter the type of content that you consume.
Okay, and before we wrap up, where would you like to see improvement when it comes to immediate, particularly in the Matabeleland region? What would you like to see more, or see less, if there's anything that you see less of in our media?
Probably less skits, if I'm to answer it, and more adverts.
Okay.
Proper adverts.
Okay.
Right. So with Matabeleland, I feel like there's a lot of people that are coming into the scene now, and there's a lot of people that have been in the scene and are starting to make big waves. So that's really a good thing on our part. But more inclusion, you know, more women in the game, because I feel like wherever you go and you are trying to take pictures as a woman, someone will say, oh, you're a female photographer. Like, it still surprises people. I want people to say, okay, you're a photographer. You know, it's like saying to someone, you're a female doctor, you're a female DJ. What does that mean? Does it mean like there's some sort of superiority to being a DJ when you're a man? You know what I'm saying? So I like to see more female players into the game and more support. You know that work in the media is very tough, because you go to this person, they don't want to work with you because you're new. You go to that person, they don't want to work with you because your brand isn't where they want to see. You get what I'm saying? The people around the side are like that. But right now, when I go on social media and I take someone from Harare, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this and this and this and this. May you please work with me? And they're like, oh, sure, okay, so what do you need from me, right? So Matabeleland, I feel like there's I can't find the correct word for it, but people don't want to work with people, especially in media. By not wanting, I'm actually saying, I'm not saying Gudi maybe gabafuni completely, but they're not willing, right? I haven't faced that a lot, but I see it when I go out there, you know, which, oh, okay, so this person thinks probably the brand is quite smaller for them, which is okay, but I'm saying let's support each other grow. If I'm here, it means you're supporting me, I'm supporting you, you see. If I was somebody else, I was going to start saying, okay, so like, all right, so what's in it for me? That's how people think, you know. I feel like people need to work with each other more, because with more collaborations, there's a lot that can be done. I know there is Udu. He collaborates with, you know, Veza, right? We worked with a girl called Laura Bonkos, that film. She was telling us about writing that movie. Do you know, a lot of people in Bulawayo will be like, oh, so she's so young and she's writing a movie. But then probably when she went to Udumi and she's like, I've got this, what can we do about it? Udumi was like, sure, let's do it. And it turned out to be a great film, right? But if we don't believe in each other when we are still small, in the business. How am I going to accept working with you maybe 10 years from now when it's a big brand, right? So I feel like we need to collaborate a lot more, because there's a lot we can achieve when we collaborate.
Yeah. But great work done in numbers when you're alone.
That's true.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a very beautiful conversation and very honest, if I may say.
I am very, very honest.
We have come to the end of today's episode of the Alpha Female Lounge, and we were talking about media, the power media has over women and the power women have when they're in media. And today my guest was the founder of Influencer magazine. Her name is Misquoted.
Thank you so much for having me, Pam. It was really nice being here.
It was a pleasure having you. If you have missed any of our episodes, you can follow us at SiteSetW on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as YouTube. Don't forget to engage with us in the comment section and tell us what you thought about today's conversation and what you think is the role of women who are in media, as well as how we can facilitate ease of work for women that are in media. As Nicolette highlighted, that media is not really the safest and easiest space to work in for women, as it's still like a surprising thing to find women in certain areas of media. For me and the crew behind the scenes, until next week, goodbye.